Hey guys, got a quick random one for you. Sort of mildly amusing, but it's a sort of an interesting insight too into Japanese culture and a bit of an example of things we've talked about in the past. So some of you might remember a video from a few years back. Every year when it's school sports day, they allow a space all the way around the outside of the sports ground for people to put their chairs and get comfortable. So you're allowed to have a chair, you're allowed to have an umbrella. You used to be able to have tents, but they stopped that. That got a bit silly. So now you're allowed to have chairs and umbrellas and things. And obviously, there's a lot of parents all want to be where they can see their kids, and so it's fairly sort of competitive to get a good spot. So what they do is they send out a notice to all the parents, and they say, okay, so the grounds, you're allowed to go into the grounds of the school at 7:15 a.m. And then there's a place where you have to wait. There's sort of they put up a couple of cones with a sort of a crossbar thing where it leads into the sports ground, and so you're inside the school grounds, but you're not allowed to go into the sports ground yet. You have to stand behind this thing and wait. So some of you might remember I did a video a few years ago and showed that scene, and I've arrived down there at 7:15 and come into the grounds, and here's all these other parents all waiting, and they're all got their chairs and umbrellas, and they're waiting, and then at 7:30. The teachers are all there setting up in the sports ground, and they're all busy. And then at 7:30, they blow a whistle. No kidding. They blow a whistle, and the parents run to get the best spots that they can around the outside of the ground. And because later on the kids are in the centre doing their sports day things, So it's so funny. So every year I ride down there on the bicycle in the morning, and wait with the other parents, and then blow the whistle, and we run out and we get our spot. So this week we had the sports day, so I did the same thing I do every year. I went down there and waited, and arrived down there at a little bit late, 7:25, and arrived, and there was no other parents. All the teachers were on the ground, all setting up different things for the kids, and the place where they usually have a little barrier thing, there was no barrier, and there was no other parents. So I sort of wandered up to there, looked around, saw what the teachers are doing, stood there for a moment, and wandered over to my favourite spot over under some trees, and laid out a blanket. And this is a classic. They do this at festivals and things too. You can arrive at a festival early, and put a piece of plastic out on the ground, or if it's a fireworks night or something like that, put your piece of plastic out on the ground, and no one will move it. So it reserves your spot, right? So it's a classic thing that they always do. So I've wandered over to my favourite spot, threw out our blanket thing and put our folding chairs on top of it, and just about to leave, and this teacher came over, oh, sumasen. And actually, it must have been a little bit earlier. Because when he came over, it was 7:25, right? It was 7:25, and he's going, oh, excuse me, you can't put it here yet. Please come over here and wait. Right, and it was actually a little bit far from that waiting place where I'd first come, and nobody had been there at the waiting place, and there was still no other parents there, right? So I was the only parent there. So, please come back to the waiting place. Okay. And so I left the stuff there and started to follow him. He said, can you please bring everything? So I had to pick up all my stuff, and because this is a classic, because I'm fully aware that there's no other parents there. And by then it was 7:25. We had 5 more minutes to go, right? And just pointless, absolutely pointless. But this is Japan, right? So if there's a system, and this is the way the system is done, this is the way it's done, and nobody's going to look around and go, oh, there's no other parents here. Oh, don't worry about it. You just leave your stuff there, right? Which is what would probably happen in another country. You go, oh, there's no other parents here. Oh, don't worry about it. Just leave your stuff there. That's fine. But no, you please come back here. So we actually went back to that spot, and then he got the barrier thing that was supposed to be there and it wasn't, and put the barrier across, and I stood there on my own with my sheet and my 2 chairs and waited 5 minutes, and then he came back again and removed the barrier, and then I walked back to that spot and put my stuff down on the ground. So it was just so classic, and because you've got so many thoughts and so many feelings going through you when there's weird stuff like that, where it's like, you've got to be kidding. you've got to be kidding, dude. They're just so pointless, right? Absolutely so pointless. Now it's 7:30, and I walk back to the same spot and put my stuff back down again, and there are still no other parents there. So some years is like that. I've noticed some years I'll go down there, there'll be 30 parents, and then other times I'll go down there, might be 5, and and this time there was none. Don't know why. It was a bit cool. It was a bit cool in the morning, whether that put them off or whatever reason, but there was no other parents there. So just classic Japanese behaviour. When there's a rule, no matter how silly it is, I mean, we've talked about stuff like this before, where you get these strange rules where you have to do these strange behaviours and everybody does them. But that was just bizarre. One parent, oh no, please pick up your stuff, come back here, wait behind the barrier for 5 minutes, and then, okay, spot on 7:30, okay, please go back to where you were and put your things back down. Oh, okay. Thank you. So anyway, Sports Day. Sports Day is a funny thing. It is a funny thing. We've talked about it before. If you haven't seen that video yet, look up Sports Day on our channel. So anyway, that was it. Classic Japanese behaviour. All you can do when you get weird stuff like that, there's no point. There's absolutely no point in saying, wait, that's ridiculous. There's no other parents here. What are we doing? There's no point. Because in the Japanese thinking, there's no, like in another country, probably would have looked around and gone, oh, look, there's no other parents. Don't worry about it. Just leave your stuff there. That'll be fine. Have a good day. But they don't think like that here. If there's a rule, you've got to stick to the rule, and you're not going to bend it for any reason. Don't let logic interfere with a good rule. Anyway, that was it. More videos coming soon.